It's telling us that the default value here is the real time out of all these options. If I want to accept this real time, you notice if you want to override it, that's when you choose any of these options. Right? That time I click on E to override that. I click on P. But if I want to choose that default value, just press it. So that's the thing with this bracket. Anytime you have this bracket and you have a default value, and you want to go with that default value, press enter to accept that default value. And if you want to override, you can just choose whatever option you want. In the case, it might be these options or it might be numbers. You can just type numbers to override. We get to situations where you are going to say that. So that's just wanted to explain those two brackets. All right. So another thing you can also run into now is we can run into some errors or some challenges. Let's just talk about those things and talk about how to get them back. And one of those challenges is that it's possible that you lose your navigation bar and also your command line bar, and you need them. All right, you need them. So how do we get them? It's very simple. So anytime you want to get things that is view related, you go to your view tab. All right. So because all these things are view related, right? If I go to my view tab, then I have the options there. So the first one is the navigation bar, the one here. So if I click on navigation bar, it comes back. Now this view cube, if it was off, it goes away. If I need it, I can click on view cube, it comes back. The same thing with this guy, which is the UCS icon. And if I turn it off, it goes away. So you don't see the graph, you don't see the icon, but you can also bring it back. Then for the, what's it called? The command line bar. For you to bring it back, the icon for command line bar is here. Even though it's not written in the name, so you need to know the icon. So this is command line bar. If I click it, it brings it back. All right. So another way you can bring back this command line bar is actually written when you close this. You notice it's saying that for you to show it again, press Ctrl 9. But I purposely didn't. I just close it. So instead of me coming to this place and clicking on command line bar, I can just press Ctrl 9. It's going to bring it back. All right. Okay. Then coming down, we have our status bar, and this status bar has this model or this mode icons. Now I call them mode icons. The reason why I call them mode icons is because they don't really call anything. They are not used for drawing, they are not used for modifying anything. But they are more functional tools. What are the functional tools? They are either toggled on or off. Do you understand? They are either on the on state or off state. They used to turn on stuff and turn off stuff. So in the case of this, the first icon you can see here that looks like this grid. This is our grid lines. And how do you know what is on and off? Anything that has this blue color highlighted on it, it means they are in on state. The other ones are off. Right now, you notice I don't have grid lines. It's because they are off. If I turn on my grid line now, you can see my grid line because I've turned it on. You can see the blue icon. So this is telling me that now this grid is in on state. If I want to turn it off, click it and it goes off. And the same thing goes with snap, goes with all these other icons. I can turn them on or off. All right. So the shortcut for turning on your grid is F7. All of them, they have their shortcut. So those important ones, you can see them here. So if you leave your mouse over them for a while, it's going to give you their shortcut, F7. So F7 is used to turn on and off the grid line. So if I come here and I press F7, on, off, on, off, you can see that. No, not control, F7. Now I'm pressing down function key. The reason why I'm pressing function key is my F function key has two functions. So that's why in my own case, I can press down function key. But in your own case, if you don't have, it doesn't have two functions, just normal F7 will work. And then, because I always learn every time, one of my students discovered shortcut for me. And that shortcut is that shift can do anything. So if I don't want to use that function key, I want to turn off and on that F7. If I hold down my shift and I press F7, it still works. Shift F7. So that shift will temporarily, so what the shift is doing is temporarily turning off whatever setup function you have. We'll get to by the time we start drawing again. We still see the another function of F of that shift, what it does. All right. Then we have our layout page. So this layout page is more of, like I said, we have our drawing space and we have our paper space. So the difference between these guys, I'm still going to talk about this extensively by the time we get to layout management. This is where we do our printing, and this is where we do our drawing. So most of the time you draw here. So if you are doing a project, maybe a project of a duplex, when you do your ground floor, the first floor, you do your elevation view, you do your section view, you do your everything, you do them in this page. Everything will be on this page. Then if you now want to start printing them, you want to put them in different sheets. This is where you now set them. So you are going to have various of these sheets. You start setting them on this sheet for printout. Do you understand? When we get there, you get. When we get to this section, I'm just giving us an overview of the whole thing. All right, so that is the whole space. Now, this black interface here is our drawing page. This is where we do our drawing. Notice we've looked at every other part except this. So this is where we do our drawing. We want to draw anything, we draw them inside this place. So let's go to the next one, which is how we select in AutoCAD. So if you want to select objects, we have the normal, simple way of selecting by just clicking on objects. If you click on an object, the object is selected. You can see by seeing all these hot grips, these dots, they are called hot grips. That shows that the object is selected. If I want to select another object and I click here, you notice that as I bring my mouse close to an object, I have a plus sign, meaning it will add to my selection. If I click, it adds to that selection. If I come to the next one, it adds to my selection. Right? So if I want to take out of my selection, hold down shift. If I hold down shift and I come close to an object, you see a minus sign. If I take my hand off shift, you see a plus because we've already selected this, we are not seeing anything. But if I hold down shift and I come, that means if I click now, it takes this out of my selection and we are back. So shift will take it out of it will deselect objects. But if I press escape, what escape will do is going to deselect everything. So meaning if I had all these things selected, I now mistakenly press escape, it's going to deselect everything. If that's not my intention, that's where shift comes in place. So if you don't want to deselect everything, you just want to deselect a few of those things, hold down shift to deselect. So that's the simplest way of selecting object, by clicking on the object. If I click on this object, I select, click on this object, I select, click on this object, I select. And if I want to deselect, hold down shift, click, deselect, deselect, deselect. So we now have the second type of selection, which is the window crossing selection. The window selection and the crossing selection. I know this first class is boring. It's going to be boring. Because we want to talk about the whole thing. Like, that sounds boring. It's recording my voice. It's recording my voice. So this first class, I know is going to be, you will sleep. You will not, it's not possible. If you don't sleep, you will doze. You understand? I'm starting to see some people dozing. I'm starting to see some people dozing. So, but it's normal. No, it is normal. First class, this particular section, because we are still talking about the whole interface, so it's just like this. But by the time you start drawing, that's when you understand. You start seeing you get. That's where the thing is. So the second type of selection is the window and crossing selection. Now, how do we do window selection and crossing selection? Normal clicking. We click on the object, right? For both for window and crossing selection, we don't click on the object. We click on this empty space. Right? So if I click on an empty space, click and let go, you notice I have an icon here. If I go to the right, I go to the left. They give me two different color coding, right? So if I'm moving to the right, I have a window selection. If I move to the left, I have a crossing selection. How do I know? Window selection means it has to completely cover the object. You have to create a window over the object. That's what the window selection means. Crossing means just cross the object for it to be selected. Again, for window selection, you have to completely cover the object for the object to be selected. While for crossing selection, you don't need to completely cover. Just let that selection process touch the object. If the selection crosses the object alone, the object will be selected. So you can also see it from the icon. Look at the blue shape inside this thing. You can see for window, the blue shape is inside that rectangle. This shows that you have to completely cover the object for it to be selected. If I go to the left, this green is not inside, it's on that dotted line. So this is telling you that if it touches the object alone, it will be selected. So what that means now is if I bring my mouse here, how many objects do you think will be selected? Hmm? How many objects will be completely selected? How many objects will be completely selected then? It's one. That's one because this one is not completely covered. So if I come here now and I click, this is the only thing that will select. But that's the only thing that is completely covered. The same way if I come here, how many will be selected? None. Because nothing is completely covered. But if I come this way, how many do you think will be selected? Hmm? All. All of them. First off, all these ones are completely covered, and this one is touching it. If it touches it or it covers it, it still selects. Yeah, for the group, which is the crossing. You get. So for crossing selection, all you just do is just let it touch it, just let it touch it, it selects. But for window selection, if it touches it, it will not select, it has to completely cover it to be selected. Right. You can also use your shift to deselect. So if I have all of them selected this way, and I want to deselect this, I can hold down my shift and do a cross selection to deselect. So I purposely started with that hard and that click, and believe me, you will not use that click option. You use most of the time be using this cross in a window. Then we now have the last type of selection, which is the lasso selection. Now, this lasso selection is also divided into two. We have the lasso crossing, lasso window. So from the window crossing, you know what that means. Crossing has to just touch. Window has to completely cover. So where is that lasso now coming? Now, the normal window and crossing is just you are clicking and letting go, right? But for lasso, it's more of an artistic way of selection. You are drawing your selection process, your selection. So if I click and hold, I can drag and create a shape around what I want to be selected. I only have two that will be selected. So this is the lasso window selection from the color coding. Then I have my lasso crossing selection, so I can just go to the right, so I can just drag around this guy. I know that two will be selected, right? Just one, two. Those are the selection process we have, right? Then all this pan and this thing that I mentioned, we have shortcuts. If you press down your wheel, you can pan temporarily. So you don't actually need to click on this all the time. So if you're using the three button mouse, you can do all of them without having to click on this or run their command. So if I just press down on my middle mouse and move, I can pan. If I scroll my wheel, if I press it, roll it up, I zoom in. If I roll it back, I zoom out. But mind you, your focal point is very important while you are doing your zooming. So if my intention is to zoom into this guy to work, but my mouse is here, my attention is focused on this. So AutoCAD attention is focused on this cursor. So if I roll my wheel now, it's going to take this cursor as my center of zooming in and zooming out. So So that means now, if my intention is to work on this guy, I need to make sure my cursor is on this guy before I start rolling. Do you understand? So, because right now, if I'm here, I want to work here, but my mouse there, I'm rolling. You notice where my attention is going. That's where AutoCAD is zooming into. So what I should have done was just come here, roll, and then walk. Do you understand? So that's all for what we have for today, the introduction and everything. Then we are going to do this E as assignment. Then on Friday, we'll start with line. Start with line, because really, we need to start with a drawing tool before we can do the shape. This shape is made up of line, so when we start line, we now try and create this guy. Choose on, I'm going to show us 3 ways of creating drawing. Basic object, not line, basic objects. But we're going to use line as the example that I want to use. So I'm going to stop here. Do you have any question before I stop my recording? Do we have any question? Yeah, I will have question. So you should ask question now. Do you have any question? Okay, may I have question? Hmm? Okay, so the question that I have now is that can anybody, okay, no, I'll be directing, okay, this is what we're going to do. You're going to pick numbers, and whichever number you choose, I'll ask you a question. I don't know the question, but anything like what I hear. So, pick number, let's have number 1. Question number. All right, number 1. Esther, give me. So the question will be two ways. So the first question is that you should give me give me 5 blocks with flowers. Expect it to come up. Come and show me. Give me 5 blocks. Are you sure they are for? It's not for now. There's arrow there. I told you that arrow is showing some things. So we have this
Insert, create, edit attributes. For that sense. Set base point.
So the second question I have is that what's the shortcut for turning on our red lines?
Shift and F7.
That should be the 7. Ayala. Thank you for that. She answered it correctly. So, Mr. Ayola, could you please give me any 5 expensive tools that you know? That's the first question. Answer that one before we. Come on now. Come on. Oh, let me stop recording.